Hi everyone, this is Terry from Allen Art and Design. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'd really love to hear what you think of my projects. If you enjoy the content on my channel, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Happy crafting. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Terry from Allen Art and Design. Hope everybody's having a nice Sunday. Got my Diet Pepsi with lemon. So I wanted to do an update on some projects. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. This is my slow stitch fabric project folder, and I had done a video, my last video, showing that I had finished it, but I actually hadn't finished it. I had put on my corner protectors, but what I needed to do, I needed to put Misty's little whiskers on, and then I made some bead dangles, which I thought were pretty. They go good with the colors. So now I feel like this project is done. Let me move this over. So this is my fabric project folder. It's made out of a computer case, you know, like a soft case with a zipper on it. So I took the zipper off and I used that as my base. And then I covered it. I don't know if you can see, but I covered it with these fabric napkins. And then I used a pillow sham, a quilted pillow sham. To make a big page and pockets. So I used that whole pillow sham to do that. And what I did was I had stitched on some vintage lace, and then this is lace from my wedding veil. These roses came off of a dress. I've got some vintage yo-yos. I've got some fancy little flowers, and I've covered the whole thing with buttons. Oh, the other thing I did was I covered the spine with lace, and I think that that looks great. Just added that final touch that I needed. Yeah, so these pockets are going to hold all kinds of stuff. And I just love the Battenberg lace and all the buttons. I used flowers and yo-yos and buttons. And this is a bureau scarf. And these are some flowers that came off of a placemat. And these are newer yo-yos. And these are vintage yo-yos. And I use glass buttons and just a whole bunch of buttons from my button collection. Trying to use some things up. And this is the inside. This is just a nice soft blanket. I love the feel of it. And then I used some more of those flowers from that placemat. doilies, more yo-yos, and tons of buttons. And these are little dragonflies. And then because it's soft, you can pin future projects in. These are just little projects. I made them and they've been sitting in a drawer for years. I just want to use them up. So I'm going to find ways to use up my projects. And here's another page. This one, oh wow, look at all those buttons. I love it. More Battenberg lace. A couple of doilies. Some more vintage yo-yos. Tons of buttons. And this is the other pocket where I have some of my samplers from when my children were little. And this was something I had embroidered when I was 8 years old. And then that's something else that I had embroidered. So this is the Mayflower and those are pilgrims. So I'm going to do a journal on Plymouth and the pilgrims. Oh, I wanted to show you the back. There's the back. Kind of matches this one. Again, I used the fancy flowers, vintage yo-yos, doilies, and tons of buttons. So this was the most involved project I've ever done with hand stitching. And I just loved it. And I got to use my cross stitch of my kitty Misty. And I love it. I love her little whiskers. I was going to use black, but I thought it would be too dark. So I used 2 different colors of gray. And I think it looks great. And I really love my dangles. Those are fun to do. I love to use beads. So there's that project done. Another project I have that I completed is this Sewingroll. I don't know why there's a string hanging out of there, but we'll find out when we open it. It's upside down. So I put a button on the outside and I decided to put one of these giant snaps just because I had one and I just wanted to use it. Why not, right? It works great. You just snap it and it keeps it closed. So let me start with the outside. Oh, there's a needle in there. So this is just my daughter had given me a blouse and I decided I love the material. So what's inside of here is a baby's burp cloth that you throw over your shoulder when you're burping the baby. And it was like soft and quilty. So I said, oh, that would make a good base for a Sewingroll. So I covered that with this, and then I went around with a blanket stitch just to hold it on. And then these came off of a tablecloth that my aunt and uncle had given us for our wedding 36 years ago. And we never used it. And it started to like turn like a really cool color because it was white when they gave it to us. And I just cut it out and I fussy cut around it, and then I just hand stitched it on. These roses were on that same tablecloth, so I put those all over. These are vintage yo-yos. Some old buttons. And then these are just paper flowers that I glued down. I glued them down really good so that they won't come up when you're using the book. And then this side, this is an old pillowcase. So this is a little needle book made out of the same material as on the front. And I did the little applique there with another paper flower, a little pearl button. And this is a little loop that I braided. And then I stitched it on. It just helps to keep it closed. I stitched on another rose. I think I'll move that one over. Boy, that is one long needle, isn't it? That's a good one, though. I got some stitching needles for sewing, and then I have some embroidery needles in there. Okay, and then I made this cute little scissor holder. It just has a snap, and then it just goes through the scissors. And I just made this, and I put felt inside of it. I don't know if you could see that, but there's felt inside. I do think I'm gonna stitch around it. That's what I think this was for. I was gonna stitch. Why don't I put this in my needle book for later? I think that's what that was for. I was gonna stitch this scissor keep down on the sides. I do still think I want to do that. I had hot glued it on, but I want to stitch it down so that it's secure. And you just put your little scissors in there. You just weave this through and snap it. How cute is that? I love it. I think it's adorable. And then I made this pin cushion. Just had felt underneath it, but it wasn't thick enough. So I went ahead and I opened it and I shoved in a bunch of polyfill. And then I found some pins that I put them on as if they were like little flowers or buds on a little leaf. And you know, it's a pin cushion. It works great. It's thicker, and I think that works better. And then I just hand stitched it on. And I just put another paper flower. There's just a little extra button. Goodness, oh yeah, one of these. I mean, you could tie something around that. You could put some beads on there, whatever. And then this is just a little pocket that I put one of these needle threaders. I braided another piece. I knotted it and put it through. And then this just tucks inside here. And then there's some extra little tiny thing of threads that I found in my sewing stuff. I appliqued that on. Here's that big button. And so there's my Sewingroll. Is that the cutest thing you ever saw or what? I just love it. You just roll it up and snap it. I mean, you could put a button, and you could put a thing to wrap around it. You could put an elastic on here, whatever, however you want to close it. I just found one of those big snaps and said, hey, I might as well use it up. I bought it. I still have like 2 left. I'll use them somewhere else, but I'm glad I was able to use that. Is that the cutest thing? I just love this. I want to maybe make some kind of a bag to keep it in, to keep it from getting ruined, because I just love it so much. I might stitch a little bag with a drawstring, and then this could just go into a project bag, and it's ready to go. So there's another project finished. I wanted to show you what I'm working on right now. Here it is. I started this in my last video. This is my next needle keep. And I was able to finish stitching. I did some invisible stitching on this. It actually takes a while to do that. Look at all the stitches. I don't know if you could see them, but there's a million stitches. But the good thing is it's inside and you can't see that. So it is a little bit crooked. So before I do anything else, I'm going to trim that up. Maybe I'll do it right now while I'm thinking of it. I'm going to stand up for this. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I would like it at least to look, you know, square. Just get rid of some of this excess. There. That's all you need to do. You can go back and trim up a little bit more if you have to. There. See, now to me, that is good. Might do this one a little bit too. I think it's easier to see it on this side. Just going to trim it up a little bit. It doesn't matter. If you cut a few threads, this is all going to be encased with a blanket stitch anyways. So nothing's going to come out. There. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and I had to put in a patch here. There wasn't enough material there, and I had to put a patch in up top. So you can do that before you stitch your book together, if you need to. Now I feel like this still needs a little, just a little haircut right here. All right, now I feel like it's square. Take that teeny bit off. There. Beautiful. Like I said, it doesn't have to be completely perfect because I'm going to be putting a lining in it, and I'm going to be putting lace around the edges, and I'm going to encase it with a blanket stitch, so all these edges will be covered. So I love this. I did find one of these doilies, and I wanted to show you. Oh boy, that made quite a mess, didn't it? Let's just push it aside for now. What I found was, I found this at a thrift store. It was a little sweater. And look how pretty that is. I just love it. It's got sparkles in it. And look at all these little round embroidered pieces that I'll just show you how I do it. I just cut them out. I thought they were attached, and I was worried that once I cut them, that they were going to fall apart. But I was very pleased to see that once I cut this out, they were not attached. So these little round embroidered flowers here, they're independent. Which just means that I can cut them. You just take that little piece of yarn out of the hole, and it doesn't fall apart because it's its own thing. It's separate, and I was so happy to see that, because now what I do with these is I use them like a yo-yo, like I use yo-yos on my needle books. I usually put a yo-yo there, but look at how pretty that looks. I'll put one on the back as well with that. I just think they're beautiful. Look how pretty they are. And the green just goes with the needle book. So that's my next project. I'm working on it. I work on it at night. Oh, I want to show you. Let's move this out of the way. This is all stuff coming out of my project bag here. I'll put this away. Those are the pages that I'll be putting in next. Oh, here's the other one. Put this all back in the bag. All right. What I want to show you is I found some of this. It's really fine, like blanket stitch all the way around. This was the handkerchief that I used for the lining of this. And after I cut it off, I'm like, geez, that might look really nice on the edge of this. So what I thought that I would do is, maybe I'll just show you how, this is another part of this project that I can show you how I do. I'll just add that there. Let me grab some pins. Just pin it into place, and then I will stitch it. And look, there's even a corner already there for me to use. And I just want it to stick up a little bit so that you could see. It gives it more of a finished edge. Looks like they used a variegated thread on this because this is lighter and then it gets darker as it goes around. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I just want to use it up. I want to see how much do I want this to stick out. I feel like I just want it to stick out just around the edge. Yeah, see that right there has to stick up more. This is the fiddly part of this project. You know, I do this when I'm watching TV and it's relaxing for me. It's like putting together a puzzle. That's how I think of these little books. Between, you know, patching all the material together and then stitching it all. All right, I feel like I could trim off a little bit of this material to show that a little bit more. It's hard to get underneath here. Okay. That could come in just a smidge. So anyways, this just gives you an idea of where I go with the next stage of my needle book. So there'll be a cute little edging on there. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it's going to be adorable. And then you just, I don't know, I'd probably just cut that off and start with another piece because I have this to finish it. I'll be able to go around this whole thing. And I just think that's going to be sweet. This one, I will not blanket stitch around it. I will just probably whip stitch it around it. Or just straight stitch, because it's already got that added edge, so you don't need to put a blanket stitch on top of a blanket stitch. I think that would be overkill, and I just think it's going to be pretty. And like this, I feel like I could trim that just a little bit. So like I said, this is the process that I go through when I'm making one of these. And just put it in place and then pin it down, and then I can just stitch it before I put the lining on. This will be ready to go. Might even be easier for me to pin it from the front here. That way I can really see where I want to place it. Yes. It's much harder to do it the other way. Why was I making it harder for myself? Because I can. There we go. That's so cute. I love it. Okay, put that there. Very nice. Oops, I need a pin here. So that's how I go about that, and I'll just keep working on this tonight. I'm hoping to get this edging on and the back, and I'll show you the back page is going to be like this. Oh, this is the inside, not the back page, sorry. That will go like that. And that will look so cute. And then this will be on top. And that's my next needle book. And I will show you my progress as I go. So those are projects that I've either completed or I'm working on right now. Thought you might like to see my progress. The other thing I wanted to show you was I went ahead and I found these, which I have used on other needle books. I have to trim off this, or just pull off this thread. These were also on a doily, and I was so pleased to find out that once you cut them off, they don't fall apart because they were independent of the other stitching, which is really nice because a lot of times you start to cut these things and they start falling apart. So this is just, I'm going to have to sit and do this while I'm watching TV. It's kind of tedious. You just pull out the threads that you had cut. This one needs to be cut. But then you won't see all this. But these look great. I'll show you. These look great on a needle book too. You can use a doily underneath. I like the doily. It separates the focal point from the book itself. I mean, obviously I still have some more of this to pull off of there, but you get the general idea. Yeah, there's more to come off, but that's all right. This one, for some reason, doesn't want to come off. I'll just trim it, pull it, there we go. So that can just go on a needle book like that, and look how pretty that is. I was so happy to find them because I, you know, tucked them away, had no idea where they went. So now I have a whole bag of them, and these are going to go on needle books, just like this. I just love the look of that. And usually my material has pinks and greens in it. So there's just one more thing that I can use for my needle books. So let's put this away. I'll clean up afterwards. The other thing I wanted to show you was I was watching TV. You know, I had surgery almost 2 months ago, and I'm still recovering. There are things that I just can't do, and it's so frustrating because I'm the type of person that wants to get things done, and guess what? I haven't been able to get that much done, and I am frustrated, but I'm finding things to do. Crafting always gives you something to do. There's always some homework to do. And so this is what I did while I was watching TV yesterday. These are the other things that I love to put in my needle books. These little leaf motifs. There's all different sizes, depending on the page, what I want to put on a page. I have different sizes. And I just love them. I think they're great. They came off of a dress. I was in Savers and I walked by this dress and I saw it and I said, wow, that's really cool. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to, you know, buy it or not. And I walked around and I did my thing while I was in the store. And where did I end up? Ended up right back where that dress was. So, you know what? I said, that's a sign. I might as well buy it. And it turns out I love it. I've got a lot of these. So these are going to be in my needle books, just like these would go great with that. Look at this. Beautiful. So I've got plenty of stuff to use for my needle books. So, and there's some more to cut up. And then there's some scraps that I could use for like a slow stitch roll. So that's where I am on a couple of finished projects and a project that I'm working on. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Happy crafting!